Welcome to Perspectives online and also on air from WFSU Public Media. I'm Tom Flanigan. This program using the Zoom platform, of course, pre-recorded on Tuesday, December 1st for playback on Thursday, December 3rd. The show appearing on both WFSU FM and the WFSU Public Media Facebook page. Hope you had a nice Thanksgiving, by the way, and that we're get rid of some of those excess pounds, which kind of were leveraged on top of whatever we have gained during the pandemic, for sure. And, you know, before that pandemic's arrival, many of America's small towns were on the rebound, more than a few successfully repositioning themselves as havens for artists and unique small businesses and that sort of thing. America's hunger for authentic, realistic, small town Americana seemed to be just boundless. And so many of those towns were doing a great job with that. But of course, the recovery process has certainly been slowed by COVID, and efforts still go on to inject new life and purpose into heretofore vacant storefronts and warehouses and those kinds of things. And there have been some remarkable success stories. For instance, the rebirth of Thomasville, Georgia, and its downtown is one. So is the continued vibrancy of Tallahassee's Railroad Square Art District, despite a lot of changes that area is undergoing for sure. And also a small community just about a dozen miles north of Tallahassee is also looking to revive its fortunes. And that town is Havana. And on today's Perspectives, we're going to talk with the guiding lights of Havana Main Street, its executive director, well-known local artist, Ann Kozeliski. And it is wonderful to see your face again, Ann. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Tom. Great to see you too. And thanks so much for having Terri and I on here to talk about Havana and its resurgence.
Well, let's also say hi then to the aforementioned Terri, who is Terri Paul, who is the president of Havana Main Street. And Terri, it is good to see you too. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Tom. It's exciting to talk about Havana. It's our passion.
Well, let's have a passionate discussion here with a little bit of history thrown in for especially a kind of relative newcomers to our area who maybe have just kind of blown through Havana on 27 and haven't had a chance to stop and look around, or maybe even some longtime residents of this area who are unfamiliar with the background. Havana, the history goes back a long time, doesn't it?
Probably about 130, 140 years ago. Of course, placed on the map because of tobacco and the shade tobacco farming in the area. That's where it started. The town was based around it. So you have all the beautiful old brick buildings, a lot of agricultural history. A lot of people been there 4 or 5 generations. Like I said, it's about 30 minutes out of Tallahassee, so close enough to be a bedroom community, but far enough to keep our prices good.
Well, the other nice thing about Havana is that over the years, unlike so many of its compadres in North Florida and South Georgia that were heretofore agricultural centers who lost their stride and fell by the wayside as it was, Havana has had several attempts to try to keep itself going and reposition and redefine itself in terms of something different than its origins. How has that happened in Havana over the years?
I would say that's due to the strength of the merchants that are there. We started, once tobacco kind of went overseas, you had a ghost town. You had a couple of pioneers come in and revamp the town into an antique capital of North Florida. So for years we did that. I've been there for 28 years now, and we've seen the antiques kind of come and go, and small boutique shops coming in, some art galleries coming in. And then we had, when the economy came in, when the economy tanked, it kind of killed us. And you add that to your big box stores, and then of course your online shopping. That's all done a number to hurt our small towns. And again, the merchants were looking for something to keep us viable. Main Streets is a federal program that is helping small brick and mortar towns kind of be relevant in today's world. And with that comes an awful lot of infusion of new ideas, if you want to say. So I think right now Main Street's been there 3 years, and we're infusing a new life into it, and we've got big things planned.
The arts have always, since these revival initiatives have begun, been a large part of what's been going on with Havana. I remember vividly back in the mid 1980s, there was, and it was really exciting at the time, a push to bring in an annual music festival. And for a while, it was the Havana Jazz Fest. And there were even some top named artists like Spyro Gyra and a Atlanta Rhythm Section and several other headliners who were brought in, along with local and regional acts that brought thousands of people to Havana. Those entrepreneurs left town and went and did something else, so that went by the wayside. But the arts continue at Ann Kozeliski. That's kind of where you come in here as executive director. You're trying to expand that kind of iteration for Havana now.
Absolutely. And that was one of the things that Terri said that was the impetus for hiring me. She liked my creative thinking and my creativity, and also I think my connection in the art community in Tallahassee, which goes back years, and just this love of the arts. The town of Havana is open-armed and welcoming to the artists of all mediums. And so I love thinking outside the box. I'm very proud that I don't color inside the lines. And whenever there's an opportunity, I can see how we can play something else off of it and connect it up. And so that's what we're doing. And we had our first successful pop-up gallery last month. Had about 20 artists come, and it was a one-day deal. And everybody was successful, and the visitors were just ecstatic about having art back there. It was during our open house, our holiday open house on the 14th. And so we had the pop-up gallery. We had our first farmers market in a long time, and that was quite a success. And we had a Christmas tree lighting. We had a 20-foot Christmas tree that was donated to the town of Havana, and the community gathered, and Miss Terri there was the mistress of ceremonies. I guess that's okay to say mistress of ceremonies. And she did a great job. The merchants all joined in with a gift certificate, sort of not a scavenger hunt, but you had to go to all the stores to register to be part of it. And so you saw people everywhere. And it's encouraged the artists even more so. A local artist, Joy Green, was amazing. That gallery would not have looked as good as it did if it weren't for her being there all the time. I mean, she just threw herself into it, and she single-handedly is responsible for painting what is called the Christmas card row,
Lane. Christmas card lane.
And there are how many now, Terri? 30?
Oh, I think it's more than that. I think we're almost at 50.
50 of these 4x8 or 4x6 pieces of plywood that are painted like gigantic Christmas cards. Joy Green painted every one of them. And they're amazing. And they line the streets underneath trees. They're spotlighted. The trees are all lit. So at least for the holidays, yeah, the arts are back in Havana.
Well, that leads us to the question then, Terri Paul, how do you get more artists to participate in this? Certainly Ann's connection is going to be critical in that regard, but to attract them to not just come and do pop-up shows, but to have more of an ongoing presence in the community. How do you make that happen?
Well, again, one of the reasons that we had hired Anne is because of her ties to that community. And I think as Tallahassee grows and expands and the prices rise, Havana will look more and more appealing to artists coming in. I mean, we're there to embrace them. We're more of a destination kind of weekend. So if you come and you spend a day, so that gives a lot of exposure to the art community, in being in a shop and not just relying on just themselves, but as part of our Havana downtown family. And another thing you didn't even mention, Anne, was the ornament painting that we had, which was we had old ornaments from our old tree that we were really just going to, Anne was going to give them out to some artists to have them paint them and put them on our new tree. We had such an outpouring of talent that was so fantastic. They were way too pretty to put outside. So we sold them, and we're hoping to have that as an annual event. I mean, you would be amazed at what these ornaments turned out to look like.
They were gorgeous.
They're gorgeous.
Yeah.
And so that's another way of bringing in artists on a regular basis. We're hoping we've got a few irons in the fire as far as hoping that the pop-up gallery turns into a full-time co-op gallery. We also are hoping that the renovation that we're doing to an old downtown building to make a Main Street office will be able to rotate artwork on the walls there. And again, bringing in a gallery of locals, because we have a lot of talented local people.
It's a fascinating thing for me how people are attracted to, dare I say, studio performance. But this was back in the days, and you and I talked about this the other day. The late Lee Manila, who was one of the fixtures and believers in Havana early on, who not only had a gallery space, but also had a studio space up there. And several other artists have done that over the years as well. Is that something that you'd also like to see, where people can come and actually watch the creative process flowering right before their faces here?
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that we're planning for this month's pop-up, which will be December 12th from 10 to 5, downtown Havana. But we're going to have a special tent set up where artists will rotate out during the day demonstrating their medium. And we're going to establish a schedule. So people, if they have an interest in beading or in sommelier, they'll know that during that time frame, there'll be an artist in that tent that will be happy to talk to you about it and plant the seed to creativity. But we also have opportunities, like Terri was talking about, where we're renovating the downtown bank, but there are other buildings there that could very easily be turned into storefronts with studio spaces for working artists. And it's the opportunities are endless up there. Like Terri said, it's a little cheaper to live up there, and it's actually closer to downtown Tallahassee than I think Bannerman Road is. So the northern part of Tallahassee is farther away than us. So that's a no-brainer. Yeah. Come on over.
And less traffic on 27 too most days, so that's kind of
right.
nice.
Got to watch out for those timber trucks, but aside from that, you're good.
Yeah. There you go. Well, Terri, Paul, your place of business, The Wanderings, has long been an integral part of the downtown Havana scene. In addition to art, are you going to try to entice more specialty merchants, small businesses, those kinds of folks, to also come and avail themselves of the space that you have available there downtown?
Oh, of course. Wanderings has been there. My shop has been there for 28 years. And I now have a coffee shop inside that's been there for 3 years. Like we were talking about earlier, as far as we have to, today's people are today's purchasers, whatever you want to call them, are going to be buying online. So how do you combat that as a small business? You have to give them an experience. And that's kind of what you get in Havana. If you're going to come out to my shop, you're definitely going to meet the owners. There's a story behind most every piece in my store. And that goes on with the rest of town too. We're trying to make it not, something that would be fun to do for the day, not just to purchase whatever it is that you need, because, in reality is I can't compete price wise with your Amazon stuff and all of that, but we can definitely give you an adventure. We can give you a something to do for the day that will be more meaningful than just the piece that you're purchasing. Like I said, we are not a self-sufficient city. You're going to have to go get all your basics elsewhere, but you can get the art, and you can get an antique, and you can get a gift. You can get something exotic. And to be honest, the other thing that has lasted for so long with us is furniture. We probably have more furniture in that little, 2-block area than you do in all of Tallahassee, believe it or not. And again, it's all owner operated. Now, what I'm finding is we need to get more of those people in. We need a younger generation to come. I am in desperate need of a brewery. If you know anybody who wants to open a brewery, have them call Ann or I. We've got some new restaurants coming in. We need some of those little gifty things, gifty shops. We have some huge wedding venues that have happened out there. All of that trying to bring in that younger generation to help us revitalize Havana.
The guiding lights of Havana Main Street. That's our topic on today's post-Thanksgiving perspectives from WFSU Public Media. And by the way, if you miss all or part of a program, it is available online, not only on our WFSU.org website, but also on our WFSU Public Media Facebook page. And we try to have the most recent program up on both locations just as soon as we possibly can, around the same time it airs on the radio on Thursday morning. So you can hear, and in the case of Facebook, actually see the program whenever you want. And Kozeliski, there is another dimension to art which we have not mentioned as yet. Beyond the visual arts, there is also performance art, hearkening back again to that old jazz festival concept. And I suspect that once we start coming out of the whole pandemic miasma that has us enthralled right now, there is going to be so much pent-up demand for people to get out and enjoy, especially local bands, solo musicians, all of that. Will there be venues available there in Havana to have those kinds of entertainers available for folks to enjoy?
Sure. I mean, right now there's a little bandstand that is downtown Havana that every month on the third Saturday of the month, we have a classic car show, and the cars of all types roll into town. And on that bandstand, we have live music, and various bands and assorted performers come there, and it's great because we can block off the streets, and so it's a safe environment. And some of the restaurants actually have a space large enough that could actually entertain a small music venue. We have Gawky's, we have Inez's Cafe. Just those two have quite a big space, and the opportunity is endless. We're open to all comers. We do have a park that's not too far from downtown that can actually entertain all sorts of opportunities there.
Well, that is a wonderful thing because let's see, one of our former Tallahassee artists who just completed a major commission down in the Frenchtown area, Colette Hardiman, and she relocated recently to Austin, was talking to her while she was in town, and she was decrying the demise of Austin's music scene, which is absolutely legendary. That entire 6th Street area off of Congress, right smack dab in the middle of downtown, that has been iconic probably since the days of Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys for having so many clubs and other venues that have live music. Heavy metal in one area, and you go right next door, and it's mountain music from the Appalachians. It's insane. It has been pretty much shut down by the pandemic, and so there is that demand for live music, even in a place like that cannot be fulfilled. And I'm thinking, gee, as we get out from under this thing, that would seem a natural fit for Havana, where people could especially go on a weekend and you have your choice of different venues and artists and styles of music and all that. That would be a major attraction.
Well, we're only limited by our imagination, Tom. We can, if we can figure it out, we'll find a place for it and make it fit. We're expanding. We had just had also off the music aspect. Last month we had a traditional exhibit of quilts that were it was amazing. All donated by one person, Wendy Adams, sewed 48 quilts and donated. And we sold that day 38 quilts, and now we're down to, I think, 6 left. Mm-hmm. It's just the community is nonstop. One of the other things that we're doing to help promote the community this year is we've produced can you see that?
Sure can.
This is our first annual collectible ornament that we're promoting and selling through the merchants through Havana Main Street. And it was designed by a local artist, Diane Sams, and produced through she and her partner, Jody Winter's business, Full Moon Treasures. And so we hope to make this a tradition with the arts as well, and getting those ideas out, promoting. We're working with local venue use. It's Havana Springs Resort, which originally was Nicholson's farmhouse, and we're working with the new owners there to create a trolley run, hopefully, using the 5-star limo of Tallahassee, and perhaps, as Terri had mentioned, with the wedding venues, hopefully picking up come spring, that we'll be able to continue this rotation and have this beautiful cycle of activities where they come and there's music playing downtown, or there's music out at the Tallahassee Springs Resort. Havana. Havana Springs Resort. And just again, outside the box, this make it all happen. There's no limit.
That's a wonderful thing to hear. And Terri, Paul, for those folks who perhaps have lost touch or never had touch with the old Nicholson Farmhouse restaurant, are all those old antique, iconic, wonderful structures still intact out there?
Oh, yes, they're all intact, and they've made them into little bungalows so that if you have your wedding party as a destination wedding, then your bridal party has an opportunity to stay overnight there. And then they've got all of the old farm implements and all of that, the big tractors all around the place, the old trucks. And then the latest thing that he's done is a big studio type of thing for the bride and her party to get ready, complete with the full length mirrors and the little disco ball that spins around so you can see the gown. And it's a gorgeous thing that they've redone.
That is a terrific idea for that particular property, because we sure miss that all the times we used to go out there for very special occasion meals and to enjoy the ambiance and, picking on the porch and all those kinds of experiences that were attendant to the Nicholson Farmhouse meal experience overall. in downtown, Terry, how many places are still vacant? How much, I guess, availability of space do you still have in downtown Havana for these?
We have quite a few still available in downtown to purchase. You've got an awful lot of it. Like I was saying before, my merchants that are there now are getting on up in age, and we're looking for the next generation to come on in and change it to, like I said, make it a little bit more current. I'm dying for a brewery. We do have 5 restaurants right now, which is great. We've had some new ones just open, but we have an awful lot more space that we can grow into. Kind of like what we had talked about, in the previous, some high-end gift shops to kind of cater to those people that are coming for a destination wedding. Something that gives you an experience when you come in, some art classes, some clothing, all of that would be really good to have it come in. The other thing that we've got coming up right now is, again, COVID's done a number on all of my events, but I am able to have this Winterfest parade coming this month. And that would give a great opportunity to see our town in color and in beautiful, decorated for the holiday season. We have it's a typical old town parade where we'll have kids on bikes and lawnmowers and all of that going around starting at 1:00. To beforehand, going down our new artistic path, we are going to have families decorating chalk art all up and down the streets before the parade starts. We will have music playing on outside at the fountain on the stage area all throughout the day. So we want to keep our community safe, but we still need to get into that holiday experience, just mental health wise, I believe. And so that's going to be a big to-do for us on December 12th. And that would give you a great opportunity to look and see what is available out there and what the town is needing.
Okay, yeah, and with Tallahassee having put its Winterfest on hold, there at least is an opportunity to socially distance and, of course, be safe and all that, but to recapture some of that spirit in a nearby community. And it's still, as much as we love the Jingle Bell Run and all that, you haven't lived until you've seen a parade that consists of a whole bunch of people on riding and push lawnmowers. That's also synonymous with Havana. And Kozeliski, talk a little bit more about that concept you had there of the artist co-op and how you put that together. You just send out invitations and say, hey guys, why don't you give this a try and see how it works? Or, you start out like, oh my gosh, here we go back in the 60s, but the old, getting a whole bunch of artsy folks together and forming a commune, or how that?
Well, not so much a commune. A couple of years ago, actually, several of us did get together and form a group called Artists Helping Artists. And it abbreviates down to AHA, AHA. So we like to say we provide aha moments for artists and opportunities. It started when we had a friend, Joyce Estes, who had a gallery on St. George Island, recovering from Hurricane Michael. We got on the phone, we pulled together 20 artists in 2 hours and put on a island festival for her. And so we then formed up, and we have currently a membership, consists of about 147 people who have joined the Facebook page and have shown interest. And so again, we got on the phone, we got on Facebook, and we said, hey, our dear friends, John and Sid Metcalf, who are the owners of Paint Dog Gallery in Havana, generously have lent us the use of their gallery for both of these pop-ups. We have this opportunity. Are you interested? It's one day. Come on up, we'll be safe socially, mask, the whole thing. And yeah, we had an outpouring of interest from the artist community. We had 20 artists. Now we do have some artists that are concerned about interacting, which is expected. So we have what we call 2 different levels. of exhibitors. We have the vendor who has an 8 foot by 8 foot interior space at Paint Dog. And also we're expanding outside this month for tents. So we've got 4 or 5 10 foot by 10 foot tents, I guess, coming. But then we have a exhibitor who is someone who may not have the inventory, can't be there because they don't feel comfortable being out. And so we'll take care of those for them, and we'll hang them on the walls, or we put them on the shelving units that are there in the gallery. And the intent with this is to plant that seed of, hey, how about making this something more and making it the AHA co-op or the Paint Dog co-op or Havana co-op. The gallery itself is set up in such a way that there's a splendid room in the back that lends itself to classes, to workshops, all sorts of opportunities. And on that, piggybacking on that, come April, May, we keep changing the date. So I can't remember. I think it's May. We are going to have a plein air festival. We have local artist Natalia Andreeva, who is our featured artist. And for 4 days, Havana will be the center for this plein air festival. And hopefully we'll, by that time, have the co-op formed up. We've had several artists come forward saying, yes, I want to be a part of this. And which is very exciting. And so, the boring part that, the artists don't particularly care for is the setting the rules, setting the bylaws and doing all that. But we're looking forward to it. And I'm hoping that, we're going to give it the old town try here and form up a co-op. And then that will be a hub for future things to come and to source out of there. So, yeah, so that's it.
Beyond the arts, though, there's also, as you said, Terry Paul, the artisanal kind of thing. You're looking for a homebrew situation here where folks can come in and make some great locally produced beers. What about some of the other comestibles, if you will, folks who produce, I don't know, jams, jellies, chocolates, that kind of thing? That would seem to be a good fit for you guys too.
Oh, that would be a great fit, and we're starting to see some of that in our farmers market when they're bringing in. Not only do you have the produce, but you also have the stuff that comes with the produce, the honeys, the jams, the jellies, and all that. But the other thing that we haven't even mentioned at this point is Bicycle Haven. I don't know if you know it, but Havana Hills is renowned for our hills. It's not your typical Florida riding, and we have this would have been our 5th year Havana Hills ride. I don't want to say it's a race because to me it would be endurance. I can't imagine riding. We have a 28, 48, 88 mile ride up and down our hills. We average between 75 and 100 riders, experienced riders. This past year was our first one to have the 28 mile one. And this time we have just made the decision to do it virtual. So you can still find out some information about that on our website. It's the last weekend in February. But that is hopefully going to be a catalyst to get us connected to the bicycle trails that's now going all over through Florida. And locally in Leon County, they've got the Capital to the Coast trail. There's already bid to go Capital to Monticello. And now we're trying to get that, downtown Tallahassee Capital all the way out to Havana, so that you could definitely come and spend the weekend doing all of the lovely trails around here. And it's always entertaining to see the new people come and they're like, oh, this is a Florida race. And after they do 88 miles on our hills, they're like, oh my gosh, what part of Florida? But it's still beautiful, rural, under the trees and rolling hills. It's just a lovely ride.
Here was something that I speaking with someone who knows a lot about these things, had suggested as a future possibility. This would not be a short-term thing for sure, and there would be some investment required, but the people who are really into this stuff seem to know how to scare up money. And that is to Havana was a railroad town back in the day, and that is how the agricultural goods, the tobacco, the corn, all of that got transported out of the community, and how other goods got transported in. Now, yes, there is still a commercial rail spur that goes through there. The Gulf and Atlantic, I think they bought it out from CSX,
Right.
and there's still like one or two trains a day that go up there to Bainbridge and back. But I understand that there are some people who are really, really, really into tourist railroad activities, and in places where there are those kinds of short line railroads, sometimes they work out a deal to co-locate their trains on the same track, essentially, and to bring additional tourist activity to an area because people love old style trains. Of course, if you can get a classic antique steam engine, that is like platinum, but even diesel powered trains, people are fascinated if they can get on them and ride back and forth on the rails. So that might be a possibility at some point in the future for Havana to
Great.
kind of reignite that part of the town's past and bring some additional interest to the community.
Have them call us, please. We would love it. That train runs right behind our offices, right behind Terry's building, and we could reach out and high five the engineer. We're that close.
You know, you've got part of that old warehouse there, which could be even converted into, a make-do station, if you will, for such
Oh man,
activities.
that would be a dream come true, Tom. A dream come true. Definitely have them call us. And if you like you say, they know how to scare up the money. Well, we know where they can spend it.
Well, just in case anyone from the local Railroad Historical Society might be listening to this, that may be something that they would wish to pursue at some point. Other festivals, though, that you're looking at in the shorter term, because people again love happenings once we.
You're starting to buffer.
Yeah,
So,
right.
yeah, we've got coming up in December, December 12th, we have the Winterfest, and we have the farmers market. We have the pop-up. Terri, will we have a car show in
Yes.
December?
We'll have the car show that third Saturday, and that will be an opportunity to bring an unwrapped toy or make a donation to Havana's kids. And that Chief Tracy is the one who puts together that donation to helping some of our local kids through their time of need in the holiday. And that third Saturday of December will be the car show that helps raise money for that. And there will also be a chili cook-off there, a donation only kind of chili cook-off. But we have our car shows are back on after we had stopped them for a while due to COVID. And they are the third Saturday of every month between 4 and 6.
There's also
yes, and go ahead, Ann.
Oh, sorry. There's also a festival of giving through the Hope Funeral Home up there that's tied in with the Chief Tracy's Havana Kids gift giving. So it's just a real outpouring of joy in Havana, and the lights are on the trees in the community are beautiful. That it's definitely worth a trip up, and good grief, like you say, it's only it's like 17 miles north of just get on Monroe Street and stop when you hit Havana. That's all you got to do. You know?
One of what I always thought was a great architectural asset for the community, and I forget the name of it, please forgive me, but it's down a side street. It is a large warehouse type structure that was like an artist's and a crafts mall at one point. What's the status of that building right now?
Well, there's two places that you're possibly talking of. One is being the one on the railroad track would be Planters Exchange, and that is where we've got in the front half. That is our only place in town that's on the National Historic Register. It was a co-op set up for the tobacco planters in town. It has since turned in. The front half has got a lot of booths of different antiques, vintage wear. And then the middle part is our latest very cool thing that's happened, the Shade Tobacco Museum. They've converted, they're probably at about 4,000 square feet now, and it's telling the story of Havana. And then one whole section of it is done with movies, and they have interviewed all of the old growers, planters, buyers, everybody who worked on them, stringers. And it's just really interesting to see how the town came about, because the town itself, Havana, started over on the other side where Salem is now. But when they put the railroad through, the whole town pretty much picked up and moved over there. And it got its name Havana due to the shade tobacco that was grown there. And when you went to sell it, anything coming out of Havana, Cuba was a premium. Well, we raised in Havana, Florida, we raised the same outer layer or the shade tobacco. And therefore the town renamed itself to Havana so that we could also get a premium for our tobacco.
Little marketing ploy there. Very nice. Of course, we North Floridize the pronunciation, so it's Havana, but well, the one I was thinking of, and specifically, Terri, is as you're headed north through Main Street, it would be to your right, and it's kind of down the hill.
Oh, the cannery.
The cannery
Yeah,
is what you're talking
Cannery,
about,
yeah.
right? And the cannery again came about because of Lico Canning was there, and then Tupelo Honey did some canning there, and then we also got into some artist stuff in a restaurant. And since then, it is now a children's school and a church, I believe. We had somebody come in from Miami who renovated it and had been doing some outside events in there as an event place, of course, until COVID, and that kind of shut it all down. Again, a gorgeous piece of property. If anybody would like to invest some money, it would be beautiful.
Yeah, the another great asset that you have there in the community, where so few of the historic structures really have been demolished over the years, unlike a lot of other places where the entire downtown area pretty much gets hollowed out and there's nothing to revive, essentially, except empty spaces. So that's also helpful to the future of Havana. So let's talk a little bit again about what you guys need besides business, of course, from the community, more foot and car traffic to come through the community. And you're looking for more artists and other, I don't know, outside investors, that kind of thing, to try to invest in the arts community there.
Oh, artists, architects, I mean, the whole thing, businesses, small offices. I mean, I think COVID has probably shown us more than anything that you can work from anywhere. And to have small industry come up to Havana, it would be to their benefit financially because it's less expensive. And you're going to be building in a community that has a history behind it, but also sees a future before it. And as Terri was saying, we're looking for young families to come up there. Currently, there's every opportunity to build a school system back up there, to just to start everything over. And we have both sides of the highway to look at, and to be unique, to provide those sort of date nights for citizens of Tallahassee, where, you know, it's just easy enough to jump on the little toll road and come on over, have dinner. We get a brewery, you know, you have a couple glasses of beer or wine or hard liquor, whatever the brewery does, listen to some music. You know, the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit. And I think we can build it one little business at a time and become a sustainable community to that will continue to grow and grow into the future, move into.
I think one of the key things that Anna's saying is we don't have any big corporations there. It's all mom and pop shops. And so anybody who's got a dream and is just looking for a place to start it, it's a good place to go. You have a lot of potential there. You have a lot of people that are willing to help you. You have a lot of good prices. We have a lot of government incentives. We have a lot of stuff like that that would help a young person get their foot in the door with their new idea. You're not competing against any corporations there. And again, it's, you become one of our family there, and we will all do what we can to help you work.
Absolutely.
And that's what I was going to ask you about, Terri, because we know that Leon County certainly has a vast amount of resources, relatively speaking, in comparison to Gadsden County when it comes to incentives for small businesses and that sort of thing. But I did want to make sure that the similar kinds of programs are available for places like the Havana if people want to do a relocation and have a startup there.
Well, you know, one of the advantages of us is we can do it on a person by person basis. You know, we don't have a broad program that says you can come involved in that. But between, you know, some funding through either the county or our local town or even Main Street and helping to get people started, there is all potential. And it would just be a matter of, you know, what you're wanting and what you do. And you know, we have some money in Havana, some deep pockets that, you know, we can come up with an investors group. If you've got a good idea and a good business plan, come to me, because I can come up with a panel who might be willing to help out.
You also have a great website too that has a lot more information than even what we've been able to cover here in the course of this program, that people can visit and get more details on what is available and what you guys are looking for.
Absolutely. And Facebook.
And Facebook. Do not forget Facebook. That's for
Not
sure.
at all. Not at all. And a lot of these things that, you know, just because of COVID, we've gone online. The ornaments that Terri mentioned earlier, they are online, and there are many that are still available for purchase. Not as many as there used to be. And we have a few quilts left as well. And these are definitely art opportunities that you should investigate for your holiday gift giving.
And let us not forget the next big event that is coming up, what, December 12th, Terri?
Yes, December 12th. You start up and have breakfast or coffee in town. Get some chalk and pretend you're the artist, or actually be the artist. Decorate the streets. Do some of your Christmas shopping. All of our merchants are decked out in their holiday finery there. The music should be starting at about 10 o'clock. We've got Anna Westcott in her Hungry Hearts. We have Exit. They'll be playing on and off throughout the day. The parade itself starts at the park at 1 o'clock. We'll wind through town. This is a great opportunity if you want to be in a parade. Decorate your truck, your kids on bikes, whatever. We're welcoming all of them. Go onto the website and you can register, but the opportunities abound on that day if you want your 5 minutes of fame. And then, you know, wrap it up with shopping and also eating and having a glass of wine before you go home. It's a full day.
Also, the farmers market from 10 to 2. Get some fresh produce, get some grass-fed beef, get some homemade soap, some wonderful herbs, and some fresh coffee. Then around the corner you go to the pop-up gallery at the Paint Dog from 10 to 5. Watch some demonstrations, buy some original artwork from 20 artists that will be happy to talk to you about their medium and send you home happy.
Yes, and let us not forget the parading lawnmowers too. That was,
Always upstaged by those lawnmowers.
you got it, you got it. Ann Kozeliski, the executive director of Havana Main Street, Terri Paul, the president of same. Thank you all for being part of this special perspectives as we look forward to getting more news about the revival of our sister community to the north of Florida's capital city. And we wish you all the best in that regard, and also happy holidays to you and yours. Thanks for being on, guys.
Thank you, Tom. We look forward to it.
Perspectives produced by WFSU Public Media in Tallahassee. Our thanks going out to Taylor Cox, Paul Dam, Amy Diaz de Villegas, Devin Bittner, Tricia Moynihan, and Lydell Rawls, our director of content. Kim Kelling is our executive producer, and I'm Tom Flanigan. We're in the process of locking down next week's Perspectives, and we hope you'll join us then for Perspectives from WFSU Public Media. Take care.